Hello and welcome to another episode of the Back to You podcast. I am Lily, but you already know that. So we're back for episode 3, and for this episode we're doing a Q&A, which I think is really funny. We're doing this the third episode in. I feel like that's something that people normally do a lot later, but why not get right into it? And I actually really love understanding what you're working in and we're going to talk about a lot of this and a lot of the questions that we have. As creating this page, I have my own specific journey that I have moved through in my own way. So there are certain things that I'm working through. And most of the stuff that I share is sharing through my perspective. Obviously, what other perspective would I have? And I always want to make sure that this is a resource in which you can apply your personal situation and take what resonates, leave what doesn't, obviously. I also want to know what worlds you all exist in, because questions and understanding where people believe their power isn't is a really great indicator of what they believe about the lens that they look through life. We create our world through our words. We are linguistic beings. Anything that you believe you cannot do, right? There are some things physics-wise we cannot do, of course. But when it comes to a belief system, like what we're all here to do, like I'm not going to teach you how to fly. I'm not going to teach you how to flip over a car, which some people can, but we're digressing. I'm here to help go into depth of these beliefs and these constraints which we're meant to transcend. But back to this idea of being linguistic beings is we create the context and limitations of our life through our words. When we say we can't do something, like saying, well, I can't start this business right now, or I can't do that right now, that's just a belief that you think you can't, based on what rules you've been told in life and what belief systems you've had to take on and what limitations you've had to live by. But if we have a conversation using our words, talking about where did you learn that? Why do you think you can't? And what's the fear that's driving this? Because if you were in full confidence and full alignment and full knowing, maybe you still don't have all the answers, but you have the confidence to take action, and action is the precursor to change, right? Like we can't change anything if there's no action. It's really wonderful to recognize and understand and listen to people talking, because you can hear in the words that they use what world they live in, what belief systems they have, what they believe is and isn't possible for themselves. This is why it is so important to have these honest moments with ourselves and learn that we're creating these confinements through the language that we use. And if we can get conscious of that and understand that, we can change that. Who doesn't want that? And anyone that doesn't, fighting for your story, which been there, all the compassion in the world, but there's no reason for it, right? It's not benefiting anyone. So anyways, I love hearing these questions and understanding, because it also gives me an opportunity to reflect and see, where do I operate in that? Like, where am I still not free within that area of my life? So let's get into the questions. We're not going to hit all of these because I'm keeping these episodes around 30 minutes. Question number 1, how do I trust myself when I've made a bad decision? Oof, that is a tough one. So looking at this question, the parts I'm seeing are, 1, there is a narrative that you've made a bad decision. And 2, there's a disconnect from trust within yourself, right? So let's look at the first part of that. It's that you made a bad decision, okay? Because I want to go about it this way, right? You haven't only made bad decisions in your life. You've also made very good decisions. But the ones that really stick with us and the ones that we're not able to feel and move through are the ones that cause some type of consequence, right? That could be embarrassment. That could be that we hurt someone. That could be that it led to some outcome that we didn't plan for, that we didn't feel like we were ready for. Because the bad decision, that's just a resistance to what happened, which was an outcome of an action that you took. It was the way that life was unfolding, which the how and how life unfolds is not up to you. And we can't control that. And when we say that was a bad decision, that implies that it didn't go the way that we wanted to, right? When it comes to, maybe it was an outcome. If it comes to hurting someone, making a decision that really hurt someone and cause them pain. My God, it's so tough to hurt someone that you love and care about. That's a lack of forgiveness within ourselves. That's a lack of allowing what happened to move through, because it doesn't mean that what you did was okay, right? If you hurt someone, maybe what you did was actually not okay. And there needs to be rebuilding of trust. There needs to be something done to that relationship, right? Like that's a totally separate thing. And when we haven't allowed what we did to be the reality of what was, we're in resistance to it. And we need to remember, even people that do shitty things, they are doing the best with what they know, truly. And that is very sad, because people do some really crappy things. And to think that's the best for someone is really sad. And people lie on a spectrum with that, right? But we're doing the best with what we know. We're doing the best with how deeply we've met ourselves, how deeply we've worked on ourselves. A lot of us still react on, we get triggered. We're human beings. And that's going to happen. And we're not going to be perfect. And we're not going to go the rest of our life not hurting anyone. And I wish I could confidently say that we wouldn't. I don't want people to be hurt. And it's always an opportunity to grow. Do we want to grow at the expense of other people? Absolutely not. And there is always an opportunity and space for us to reflect why we did what we did, so we can grow and we can learn and we can change. But until we can accept that we did that we made that choice, right? Like no one's in our head making these decisions for us. Maybe we were reacting to something, but we still chose that. And when you say it's not up to you, you're never going to change that. It's always going to be, well, they need to stop triggering me. They need to stop getting me so angry. Of course, right? People say really shitty things, and you can control the way that you respond to something. I'm not saying that it's easy. I am not saying that it is easy. It is so freaking difficult. It is. And to change it, you have to take on the role and accept ownership that you make every decision. The reason why you react, maybe that's not your fault, right? You went through the things that you needed to survive and move through life. Like you did what you had to do, and it's not serving you anymore. And it's our responsibility as sovereign divine beings to take ownership that we can change our behavior and we can change our life. We can. But we have to take ownership that we're doing all of this. So when we can accept that and we can not condone what we did, but hold space for the version of ourselves that acted from that place, that why they're acting like that is because they need love, they needed to feel safe, they needed care, they needed whatever, and those needs weren't met, you get to do that now. And if you can hold the version of you that you were that did that, maybe not the action, but the person that deserves love and care. When you give yourself that, you're able to allow the experience to touch you, because it's not asking to be healed. It's meant to be held. That is a line by Peter Crone, and it is fantastic. They don't want to be healed. They want to be held. Can you hold that version of yourself? Can you love that version of yourself? Because when we go through this experience of really understanding our belief of why we believe it's a bad decision, and we go through all of this, we start to really recognize where we are not pouring into ourselves in a way that encourages us to grow and expand from this. Because then it's not a bad decision. It's not a good decision. It was just a decision that you made that had an outcome that you can handle, but you believe that you can't. You believe that you couldn't. It's not in the past. It's right here with you right now. It's with you every single time you go to make a decision about anything that you do. And the lack of trust comes from the fear that you're going to do it again. It comes from the fear of, well, if I can make a bad decision about that, what am I going to do in the future? You're using your past to predict a future that hasn't even happened yet. So you're getting sandwiched with shit. So you're holding on to all of this baggage, you're resisting, which is causing suffering, and then you're scared of what's going to happen. How the heck are you going to trust yourself? How the heck are you going to make any decision? Everything's going to be based out of this limited fear because you don't want that to happen. The question is, how do you trust yourself when you've made a bad decision? You change and reframe that was ever a bad decision. and you hold the part of yourself that needed to be held during that. You make amends for whatever you had to do, right? If we hurt someone. And what happens after that is not up to you. You don't go and make amends and expect, okay, well, it's all going to be good now. No, you don't know that. You have no idea. They have their own perspective and things they're dealing with, and that's not up to you. What's up to you is holding that version of yourself that made that decision, whatever it was, to apologizing, validating, not getting defensive, taking ownership for what you did, and allowing that experience to fully touch you for what it was, especially when it's with someone that we hurt. We actually love them so much and care about them so much that we don't want to admit that we hurt them in the way that we did. And that is, it's hurtful when we think about it, like we don't want to hurt the people that we love and care about, and yet we do. And can we forgive ourselves for that? And can we do everything that we can to give love and to give validation and to allow for that person to feel what you did to them, or a decision that you made, or experiencing and feeling the embarrassment or the judgment, or that something failed and that, okay, it didn't fail. You just took away one thing that's not going to work next time. Reframing the past as a way that's able to help you experience freedom in everything that you do. You're free to make any decision. How life unfolds, it's not up to you. You're going to be able to handle it because you've handled it every single moment up until now. If you're watching this, you have handled everything. I'm not saying things were hard, but you handled every single moment because you are here. If you didn't, you wouldn't be here. You know what I'm saying? So all of this is just a reframe. And back to the part with trusting is that is a decision. That is a complete surrender. That is I let go and I allow life to happen how it will happen without me trying to adjust, without me trying to control, without me trying to manage. I let go. That is how you trust yourself when you've made a bad decision. So I hope that helps. Question 2, and I really think that this ties into question 1, but how do I forgive myself? This goes back to what I was saying before. Can you forgive the version of yourself that you were that did the best with what they could at that moment? It doesn't mean that you haven't grown since then. It doesn't mean that you haven't learned something new. It doesn't mean that you haven't grown from that. It doesn't mean that you don't look back and you go, oh, yeah, really, I hurt someone, or, I didn't really think that through. That's the point of that realization. That is the point. But can you hold yourself in the way that you needed to when you made that decision? Whether that was even backing yourself more, trusting yourself more, what would that look like? Because I promise you, the moment you do that, you're going to feel wherever you're holding that within your body, you are going to feel that dissipate even slightly. Every time that I do that, I feel some type of weight or release or softness. That is what that part is asking. It's for you to hear them, and for you to hold them and to love them. And I know you are capable of doing that. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be asking the question. Question number 3, how do I know if I am on the right path? You're here right now. All that we know right now, in this moment, whether you're driving, you're watching this, you're listening to it while you're working, whatever you're doing, is that you are here right now. You are here right now. And you have never been any moment other than right now. Even if your mind goes into the past, you're only ever here right now. And if you're worried about the future, you're only ever here right now. And on another note, when we believe we aren't on the right path, what I really think is that we're looking for some type of validation or certainty that what we're doing is right. Because we can't give that to ourselves, right? Because if we accepted that the only right thing I can do is be present, because that's the only moment I can exist life. So whether or not I'm on right or wrong path, I'm here. And the more that I'm here right now, actually, the more connected I am to myself, the more I can feel into my body where I'm not letting things go, where I'm not listening to myself. Because any type of validation or certainty actually comes from you. People can validate you and tell you're doing the right thing, and they can say, yeah, you should go for that. But you're the one that has to do it. You are the only one that can make that decision to do that. You are the catalyst. You start all of this. You're the one that has to back yourself and trust yourself and make that first decision. So it actually doesn't matter if you get that external validation or certainty from someone else. You have to do it. I think a really good question is saying, what's going to tell you that you're on the right or wrong path? And if it's something outside of you, it won't matter. Because even if you listen to everyone else, you're always going to need external validation to some capacity because you don't trust yourself. And actually, our most powerful state is in alignment. And alignment is full surrender and trust to life and moving accordingly. How is anyone else going to tell? No one else is in my body, in my life, experiencing life. Nobody could possibly logically, spiritually, however you want to look at this, know anything that is right for me except for me. And we only go and look for validation or ask for advice when we're not sure. Here's the big question. Why are you not sure about yourself? To worry about the right path. Why are you not sure about yourself? Do you know yourself? Do you trust yourself? Do you back yourself? Because if you back yourself, life backs you. Life is only going to perpetuate more of that. You back yourself, you trust yourself, you love yourself. Who cares? Who cares what the path is? I'm right where I need to be. I could not be anywhere else but right here, right now. And I know that God, the universe, put me here, brought me here, pushed me to be here in this moment. And that is all that I need to know. Because the moment you start asking that, you're taking yourself right off the path. You're taking yourself right out of where you need to be. Life is just directing you to where the answer is. That's why you're going to burn yourself out looking out for it outside of yourself or working super hard. Like, don't make it hard for yourself. Like, just look in, brother. Okay, let's go on to another question. I feel like I'm starting to digress. So I think we stick with one more. I've been recording for like 25 minutes, so let's just do one more. Ooh, okay, this is a good one. Take a sip of water. How do I stop overthinking everything? And I'm going to throw another line at you for this one by Peter Crone. If you haven't listened to Peter Crone, you need to go listen to him. If you haven't listened to Michael Singer, you have to go listen to him. They create the whole framework of everything that I have personally learned. But I'm going to throw this quote at you. Presence dissolves the illusion that thinking creates safety. Why we are overthinking is because we're not okay with being here right now. When you're in your thoughts, you're not here right now. You're either experiencing something in your past, you're letting the fear of something that happened in your past fuel this idea and this fear that I have to predict everything and make sure everything's safe and that everything's aligned so that I will not do that again and I'll be safe and I'll know what decision to make next. That's what's going on. You are anywhere but here. And if we can teach ourselves to be here right now, none of that exists, right? Like true here, true now. You're not anywhere else but here. That's where everything you are looking for is. So you're trying to overthink and find these answers, but it's like, just come back here right now. The answer's right here. It's actually quite simple. And here's the other thing is, if overthinking solved your issues, one night of overthinking, you'd be good. But because you're looking at life through a lens of I'm not going to be okay, it's endless. It's insatiable. You're going to keep looking for all the things that are wrong to keep yourself safe. It's never ending. It's like looking at life through orange glasses and then you're fixing all the things, but it's like everything's still orange. Everything's still wrong. That's what we're doing. So the real thing is, how do I take the lens off that I don't know what's going to happen in my future? I couldn't possibly know. I've only ever been here right now, even though I try to fight it and I try to get out of the now. And I try to prepare for the future and bring all my baggage from the past and relive it every single moment I think about it. But I am only here right now. And the only place I will ever be is right here, right now. So logically speaking, I've never been even a second in the future. I've never been 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a month, a year. When I do this, then I will, one side, all of that stuff. I've never been there. And I will never be there. And no matter how many times I play that over, never going to get there. You let me know if you get there. But when you get there, it's still going to feel like now. It's not going to feel like the future. So even if you do time hop, it's going to be now. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's impossible. And we're trying to prepare and really weigh out all these options and make sure we have all these things figured out for a future that hasn't even happened yet. And we're taking the worst things that have happened to us, and we're like, okay, let me make sure I feel that every single day and every single moment, and make sure I do everything to avoid it so I never feel it ever again. What are we doing? What are we doing? And we will fight and we will make sure, like, oh, well, just in case. Oh, well, we just got to be sure. Of course things happen. Of course. But I'm not going to live with this preemptive anxiety that feels like garbage, and I am worried and I'm stressed out for something that may or may not happen. Okay, that sounds horrible. Let's not do that. So overthinking is getting back into the present moment. Recognize what you haven't felt in the past. Realize what you're acting out of, fear-based, that you're scared of happening, and realize that you can either create a good future for yourself or you can create a bad future for yourself. Either way, you're never going to be there. But I can promise you this, the more you connect to those feelings of trust, of openness, of it's already done, it's going to figure itself out, of love, of ease, your chances are that life reflects that is significantly higher. So that is how we stop overthinking. And it's a practice, right? All this is a practice. You're not going to ace this on the first time. But we are reaching the 30-minute mark. I have low battery. This is my sign to stop talking. And for you to all take a moment and reflect. And we will be coming back for a part 2 at some point, doing some more questions, seeing if new ones come up. But I love this. I had so much fun. I love flowing with you guys. So all the love, always remember, give yourself some compassion. This shit is tough. This stuff is hard. And like I said in last episode, we're all just trying to walk each other home. We're all going to the same place. Let's make it a little bit easier for each other. Okay? That's it. All the love to you. Catch you on the next one.